Okay, hello everyone, it's Rosanna, editor of South East London blog, and today I am here with Marie Lenclos. Have I said that correctly?
Yes, very good.
And Marie is an artist based in South East London near Brixton, and she's originally from Paris, and you came to London to study graphic design at Camberwell Art College in 1995.
I know.
So
a lifetime away.
So welcome to the blog. I mean, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, so I'm an oil painter, and I picked up painting again around sort of 10 years ago after about 20 years of not doing it.
Right.
So I painted a bit when I was a teenager, like a young teen. My dad used to paint in the summer holidays in France. We'd go to the seaside, but he'd spend the entire time in a room making paintings for the whole months of August when he was on holiday. And so eventually I picked up a brush and some colours that he had and started painting as well. So I did that for a few years, and then just carried on painting here and there until I had my daughter when I was 26, and then I completely stopped. Never really thought about it, never particularly missed it. I was a filmmaker,
right,
for around sort of 12 years,
right,
making documentaries about social issues in London mostly. And then the kids grew up, and I found that back on holiday, exactly where I started to paint when I was 14. My kids were old enough to go to the beach by themselves, so I picked up painting. Once my dad had allocated me a tiny little studio space in his attic where he has his studio,
right.
I noticed I was by this little window, and I noticed the trees out of the windows. It's like this group of 5 enormous pine trees, and I started painting them, and I've been painting them, for the last 10 years.
Do you have a painting here that I could
actually,
see?
yeah. That's one of the latest ones I made.
Right, those colours are beautiful.
This April, when
Yeah.
I was there. But I've made about 60 versions of the same trees.
I see.
When I restarted painting, my style was a lot more impressionistic. There was more looseness in the mark making. There was more texture. And then as my work developed, because after a few years I decided to continue painting also in London, which is when I got the studio here 9 years ago. And as my technique developed, and through doing the urban landscapes, and it became more precise, then even my observational work, so the trees, really started to evolve to become more defined than I used to do. So there's still like a big imagination thing going on, because I am sort of making up the landscape underneath from bits of bobs I see. Yeah, because in reality there's some houses here which I don't want to include.
Okay.
So I'm constantly creating, but the mark making is more related to my urban work, which is quite precise, quite defined.
So the urban work is the piece behind us here. Is this, I'm trying to work out, is this Loughborough Junction, this piece? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's Friendship Adventure here.
Oh yeah.
And that's it's called Coal Harbour Works now, which is like a studio professional space.
So I'm quite taken by your urban landscape work, and the lights and the colours, and so I'm just looking, there's a piece up on the wall which I think is probably just under a railway bridge, is it? Or you've got the light coming in there from a window. I don't know.
Yeah,
can you take that piece? We can show you, because it's quite an interesting. Yeah, it's just a really interesting use of colour and light, isn't it? And how do you? This is. I mean, if I was to paint bricks, it wouldn't be as neat as that. So how do you start? What's your process with something like this?
So I draw. I draw on the canvas with a biro. I always use 4 colours.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And yeah, because the
Oh.
point is quite fine.
Oh.
So yeah, I'll do the drawing directly on the canvas with the biro, and then I'll start using paint to add the color. And the neatness comes from practice. I mean, it's incredible how, you know, just doing it has made my hand really sort of more still and able to.
And this
do
is
straight lines.
This is oil paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you work with the colours? Do you mix your own? I mean, how do
Yeah.
you?
So I mostly use 5 colors. So 5 tubes of paint.
Right.
I've got a brown,
Yeah.
a blue, a red, an ochre, a yellow ochre,
Yeah.
and a white.
Okay.
And this is the combination of colors that I use for most of my paintings,
Okay,
including, you know, the trees.
Yes.
And yeah, so then from these I can mix all the colors that I need. Yeah, so with
Yeah.
my urban works,
Yeah.
I'm really looking for capturing the light,
Yes.
because that's really what arrests me when I'm walking around. It's what
Yeah.
stops me in my tracks. And therefore I use photography as a starting point for my urban works, because I'm really just capturing a moment in time. The light, you know, the shadows, the lights have to be good. Like in this one, you were saying, so this is under a railway bridge, and this is the light projected through the railings of the bridge, and that's what creates.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. I can see here. Where is that?
That's in just around the corner
Oh.
in Loughborough Junction.
So you get your inspiration for the urban landscape series just from walking around in London, just from down the road and.
Yeah, mostly down the road, because I don't
Oh,
go.
yeah.
I don't go anywhere because I'm always working. So it's a lot between my house and here, or between here and where I go for lunch, or between here and going shopping in Brixton or wherever. So yeah, my world is very, very small, very limited.
There's a place in Brixton when the sun's setting. If you're up on the train station. And I've seen this a few times. The light against some of the buildings there. If you're on this, if you're on this side, like you're looking over towards a Dog Star almost.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful. The light is beautiful at a certain time in the evening, and I remember I've taken a few pictures of that.
And when it hits the wreck, the Brixton wreck. And that red brick.
Yeah.
When the light hits that, like the evening light, like you say, it's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I get caught by the beauty of the everyday, and that's my motivation, that's my inspiration.
That's it. So have you got anyone who inspires you, whether it be an artist or a family member or someone or things or books? You know, you talk about just walking in the light, but would you say there's an artist that if you could have one piece of artwork in your house, who would it be by, you know?
Oh, that's too hard. There's many artists I admired and that I'm inspired by. I suppose in terms of a family member, my dad, he taught me to see things. So he's 86 now, and he still paints every day. And
I saw one of your videos on Instagram. I thought it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
He's just, I remember him, like it was long before I started painting again, and he was visiting me in London, and I can't remember where we were, somewhere in the West End, and suddenly he stopped in front of a brick wall, and he was like, "Oh, look at these bricks, they're so beautiful." And I was like, "What?" You know, I'd never, and then once someone shows you something that you take for granted, and they sort of, then you can never unsee it. First of all, you can find beauty in anything.
Yeah.
And it's often to do with just the juxtaposition of colours, the compositions that are happening accidentally in the space. And yeah, that's what you see when you see cranes and decay and sort of bits and bobs. It's just this, it's just. But in terms of other artists that I admire, I mean, I love a lot of dead artists. I was thinking about this because you sent me your questions before, and I mean, people that gave me a lot of emotion when I was long before I started painting were people like Georgia O'Keeffe and her urban landscapes.
Yes.
Not so much the flowers, but she's done some amazing paintings of New York.
Yes.
You know, Hopper, of course,
Yes.
for the
I
light.
was going to ask you about Hopper. Yeah.
Yes,
'cause,
a big influence in terms of how he depicts the light hitting a building.
yes.
You know.
Yeah.
But also Algernon Newton, who's an
Okay.
English painter from the early 20th century, I think, who also painted urban landscapes from London, and just, it's really beautiful. Uses light in a really lovely way. So I think I'm attracted to any artist who use light and colour. So Cézanne as well. And then in my contemporaries, I love a lot of my contemporaries. Instagram is brilliant to keep up with what they're doing, and I get inspired all the time by the paintings that, you know, people that are alive do.
Yeah. So what's in store for you this year?
Well, next weekend, the 11th and 12th of May, I'm doing the Dulwich Open House,
Yes.
which is an annual event that I really love because it's one of the first events that I started to exhibit at about, I think it was 2017, the first time I did an open house. And so it's the first time that I showed my work to the public and started getting feedback and started selling stuff, and I love it because it's a free event, everyone can come, and it allows you to meet your community, because mostly people are local.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, which I'm very excited about. And then in June I've got a show at Copper Beach Cafe next to Jack's Sports Club in North Dulwich.
Yes. Yeah.
The cafe is a really nicely designed space.
Yes.
And there's quite a lot of white walls, and every month
Okay.
there's a different artist or group of artists that exhibit for free
Yeah.
in that space.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good to know.
really
And
good.
when are you going to be there?
So the whole month of June.
Yeah, are you going to have an opening thing?
Yes, it's the 5th of June.
Just so excited
Yeah,
as I
please
come and
come.
see your bigger
Yeah.
pieces.
Well, actually, they're not going to be big pieces
Oh.
because
Yeah.
trying to keep the prices a bit low for that space, because it's,
Yeah.
you know, people are going next door to the sports club to have a swim or take their children to judo or whatever. They don't have in mind to spend thousands of pounds on an artwork, but they might see something that's sort of reasonably priced and think, okay. So I'm doing a series of 9 urban paintings of that size, and I'm exhibiting with a very young 23-year-old French artist called Aldo de Silvestri. I'll give you the details.
Yes, please.
And he's also a figurative painter,
Okay.
and he's going to be presenting a series of still lifes and interior paintings.
Lovely.
So yeah, I'm
We'll
doing
look
that.
forward to that.
Yeah.
Now, one last question to wrap up this lovely chat. Myself, I like to dabble now and again in art. I did do my GCSE, and I was going to do my A level, but I rebelled and, you know, kind of went off on another route. But I like to dabble, so I'll go to life drawing classes, or I do things like this, and I talk to people like you because I just feel very passionate about it, and it's nice I feel very humbled to be invited into your space today, so I've really
I feel
enjoyed
humbled
that.
to be doing art.
Yeah.
I think so. Your question that you sent me was what would you say to people who want
That's
to
it.
dabble?
Yeah.
I thought that was the most interesting question of all, because I felt so enthusiastic about this question.
That's good.
Because first of all, I think everyone should feel free to do art.
Yes.
We shouldn't feel any pressure.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about what my answer would be, and my answer is do it. Like, try as many different things as you can. You know, it could be a sewing class, it could be a ceramics class, it could be printmaking, and then I think maybe if you're not sure what you like the most, it's best to try and try different things. Then let's say if you think, oh, I love painting, then just do it as much as you can, because I think confidence comes from trying, and the more you try, the more your technique or what you realize you like doing will become clear. So then you can pursue that. And yeah, I think it's just about practice and also about looking at other people's work and just copying.
Seeing what inspires
like
you.
copying is fine.
Yeah.
I think even going to a museum and doing a painting, like a drawing from a painting that you like, and just trying to reproduce what you see. The other thing that I always encourage, I used to teach art to vulnerable people in Lambeth.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Where did you do that?
So, well, there was a homeless centre called Ace of Clubs in Clapham,
Okay.
where I'm sure it still exists. So I used to do art classes to mostly homeless people, very vulnerable adults, people who'd not had an art education, or some of them no education. And you know, some of them were quite old, some of them slept rough. And that time, the art class, they came if they wanted to come. It was completely free. It was offered as a thing for them to do. And my approach mostly was to present them with a still life. So I don't know, some fruits in a bowl and some flowers, and then get them to respond to what they were seeing.
Yes.
And then just guiding them through that. And I think if you're starting, the most important thing is to just train your. So this is a lesson I've learned from my dad. To train your hand to do what your eyes can see, not what you think your brain can see.
So what do you
it's
mean?
like-
So would you not look at the page? Because sometimes
No,
if I
you
do,
look at the page,
Right.
but basically, when we're drawing, we think, well, no, that shadow can't be going in that direction, or that shadow can't be that dark, because your brain is telling you,
I see.
well, no, that shadow can't be blue, because the shadow is grey,
Yes, yeah.
but sometimes the shadow is blue. So it's about trusting what your eye can see, as opposed to what you think you should be seeing. And I think if you have that as a sort of rule, that's when you'll really progress.
Yeah.
So it's about trusting what your eyes can see,
Yeah.
and that's really exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think you kind of inspire me a bit, because I do want to do something, but I was like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Just
But
do
I
a still
take-
life. Start with a still life. Start with a.
I still remember I think I've still got my still life that I did in
GCSE.
GCSE. I know, yeah, I've still got it. It was actually quite good, because I really like charcoal. I like just white paper and charcoal, because
Yeah.
I like getting quite messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe
Do
I
it
will.
again.
Maybe I will. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
and also you can never be bored, because there's
No.
always more things to draw
Yeah,
or
that's
paint.
true. That's true.
You know, anything
Yeah.
in front of you can be changed into a picture.
Yeah. Are you quite meticulous in how you work? Are you very tidy? I'd say this is very tidy in here.
I've tidied quite a bit.
Oh.
Well, what I like about having a studio space is, so I live in my house. There's some young adults and an adult husband person, and so this space,
Adults.
this studio space, yeah, they're all adults, even though some still behave as teenagers. So this space is really my space. So yeah, sometimes I leave a mess.
Yeah.
I suppose in terms of neatness, what I need is, I really like being in my space. I like to have my podcast or my music in my ears, and I like to have a long stretch of time ahead of me. So I work every day, like most weeks, 7 days a week,
Really?
for about 6-7 hours in a stretch. And that's, I suppose that's the neatness in my work, is that it's it's like a daily practice, and it requires discipline. Sometimes I'd
Yeah.
rather do other things, but
Yes,
but yeah, you just get into it, and then the work comes out. So it's good.
yeah. Oh, wonderful. Well, it's been lovely talking to
Thank
you
you very
today,
much.
and thank you for your time and inviting me into your space.
You're very welcome, and
Um,
everyone's
yeah.
welcome to come and visit me in my studio.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we should take Marie up on that offer. But so I'll be heading down to the Dulwich Open House, and then we'll see you just next to Jags. What's the coffee shop called?
Copper Beach Cafe.
All right. Well, thanks, Marie,
Thank
and
you.
good talking to you. And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.